What are your plans with the business? I imagine that you started making quite a bit of money from making this video, popping off in the way that you have. How do you move forward from here?
Yeah, I mean, like the money aspect didn't change from what I had before because I've always been making money on YouTube these past 2 years. And like I said, I just thought this was going to be a regular upload and I thought I needed to focus on my next video. But when you post a video in the whole entire country, that the media of the country that is not Fox News or Newsmax comes after you, it kind of pushes you away from anything to do with that. They're trying to say, like they're trying to give reasons for people to kill me.
Do you seriously worry about being like that?
I mean, there's constant attacks. And I've been attacked on live streams, and the police had to arrest 2 people in New York City on a live stream. This is before this happened. They had to arrest 2 people for attacking me live. People are deranged right now.
Does it ever make you pause and think, is this worth it if my life is on the line?
Yeah, it does. And so kind of going back to what Jack was saying, like, where do I go now? So it's like, okay, do I post a YouTube video every single week now? Because I really just can't go out into a street and go make a video like I used to. Like in Somalia or Minnesota, I had to go out and have 4 security guards with me so I could just go film my video. And so it's kind of like when you see, like, for instance, Riley Gaines, who spoke out against what was happening to her personally in her life. And it was just something super matter of fact, like super common sense what she was speaking out against. Yet the left came at her so hard and they attacked her so hard to the point where herself, she's her own movement in a way where she can go and talk about what they did because she has that backing of literally people turning on her for having common sense. And so what you just saw with me, just with everybody turning, all the mainstream media and the left coming out and defending fraud, like my life has been changed over these past 72 hours. And at least for these next few months, I'm like, this is going to be a little harder to do what I got to do, but I'm not going to stop. Like they're not going to stop me. They're not going to fear me away from doing it. I just have to go about it in a different way. But I do have an opportunity now to really move it towards something, which is something I've been wanting to do for a while.
And what do you think you're going to move it towards? Do you think you're going to do more fraud videos? Do you think you're going to build some sort of a network?
Yeah, I think fraud's obviously very important. And obviously people are passionate about it, right? Because no one likes to see their money get stolen. Because that's what fraud is. It's your dollars, my dollars, their dollars, all getting stolen. And so nobody likes to see it happening, especially when you can go and literally see it with your eyes. So I do have plans on creating some sort of, I don't want to say like a movement in a way, but something where people can be like, okay, I'm a part of this.
I would love to see a public tip network or something that is open for everybody to look at, where you could submit anonymous tips for fraud that's going on, or, hey, we should look into this.
Yeah, like a decentralized Doge.
I would love that. And then imagine you could type in a zip code and you could see, hey, these are all the fraud claims in this area. And, you take it with a grain of salt, of course, but at least, hey, we could look into some of these things.
It might be hard because then you'd be like doxing individuals and businesses, like if you don't know. But
true,
I do like that idea.
There already is an IRS tip line.
Yes.
Where you have to bring forth some sort of an evidence that someone is committing tax fraud, and then you can actually take a percentage of what they claim from that individual. And then on top of that, if they're able to do that from the people they're supposed to be representing or serving, then why can't we do that with them? Like, why can't we detect government fraud?
So it's interesting. On the IRS thing, I didn't realize they have to prove more than $2 million of tax revenue that gets collected to receive a payout.
Is that what it is? That's probably why it's so hard for people to actually go get that false
so
payment.
It's not like you could just say, hey, so-and-so isn't paying their taxes. You have to go with receipts, and the IRS has to be able to collect $2 million minimum.
Yeah.
But it makes it because they don't want to be like, oh, we're not going to spend all these resources tracking down like a missed, $400 payment or something like that.
Because by that time, most likely that money's already gone to Dubai, and then it was sent tax-free to some other country. Because that's what the Somalians do in Minnesota. if you go on to YouTube and you can look up this video from 2017, Fox News did a video. I think the local Fox News did a video where Somalians were bringing in millions of dollars in cash through TSA, and they then take it over to Dubai, and then they send it off to Somalia. So like a lot of that money, this is another part that's going to be in my part 2 videos. I interviewed a man who used to work at TSA in the airport, and he dealt with millions of dollars in cash that the Somalians would take through the airport.
You're going to be Somalia's like #1 enemy.
Oh, for sure.
How much would someone have to pay you to visit Somalia?
$9 billion. Get all our money back.
$9 million?
$9 billion.
$9 billion.
Because that's what we've given them.
I mean, that would be extremely entertaining, but also dangerous.
Yeah, that would be crazy, right? If I went to Somalia.
Well, because we're probably going to post this around the time you're posting your video, is there anything you could tell us about that one?
Mm-hmm. Well, just the fact that like in going deep into the transportation companies, none of them existed. We went to all of them. They had transportation companies listed in apartments, and they receive money from the government to go and do these non-emergency transportation.
Are you seeing any of these people with like a very flashy lifestyle, like fancy cars and nice clothes and things like this?
Yes, outside the daycares, there's this one daycare that. This is another example of blatant fraud. So this daycare, they closed down because of violations, and then that same day they reopened underneath a different name and continued to receive money. I went to the daycare, 3 BMWs and a Range Rover outside. No children. It's like those shows where it's like, how stupid are you to show that you're committing fraud? Why are you driving around? How is our government-funded daycare receiving 3 BMWs and a Range Rover outside?
I mean, those are really good for daycare.
Yeah, really good for the kids. They just love the leather seats. And
what is your dream video to make?
Dream video to make? I've always wanted to interview like presidents.
Oh,
like
so it would just be an interview.
Well, that's like a dream video. Mine is to do like I really wanted to interview Nayib Bukele in El Salvador.
Mm-hmm. Have you spoken to him?
I've met him once. I shook his hand. But
was it brief? Because I know you made the first video I saw of you was at the CCOT.
Yeah, it was I literally just shook his hand, and I was just like in a press pool, and I shook his hand, and he just. And I've seen Trump. I met Trump in the Oval Office. I gave a speech to Trump, a briefing at the Antifa thing. So that's another thing why like.
How did you get that interview?
With Trump?
Yeah.
Well, it was interesting because I got invited to the White House for when Nayib Bukele came. El Salvador actually invited me to the White House, and I had no idea what was going to happen. I thought I was just going to be able to take photos when they go in to the White House, and I thought that was going to be it. And they're like, "Oh, you're going to be you're going to go into the Oval," and I didn't know whether or not they said you're going to go into the meeting where the president and Nayib were speaking, and I didn't know whether it was going to be like the Roosevelt Room, the Oval Office. So like I'm just in this press pool, and they just like push me up front. And I look up and I just see Trump. He's just like, I was like, what is going on? It felt like and he has like so much makeup on. He didn't even really look real. He's just like sitting there like this. And then Nayib Bukele is just like this. And then Trump just looks at his sheet. He's like, all right, everybody. And he starts speaking. And then they're like, all right, then Trump finishes talking to Nayib. He's like, questions? And then everyone just starts yelling like, Mr. President, Mr. President, Mr. President, Mr. President, Mr. President. I'm like, wait, am I going to ask a question? And so I'm right next to CNN with Caitlin Collins, and me and her are battling to get a question off. And finally, I just get a question off. And you see my hand is like shaking like this. And I asked Trump a question. And that was very cool.
What was the question?
I asked him, like, how essential is it to be sending people to I think to SECOT, like how essential is it to be getting these people out of our country? Because they're a bunch of, like, we don't want Venezuelan gangsters inside of our country. Like, and if Venezuela wouldn't accepted them, send them to SECOT.
Were you happy with Trump's response?
Yeah, I was happy with it. I was just happy to get the question off and not look like a fool. Because you only have one shot to ask a question when you're inside the Oval Office. And I was the first YouTuber ever to document an Oval Office meeting.